Expectations. Everyone's got them. But exceeding them or falling short, well, that's up to you.
Grown man's catch.
Caught for the touchdown.
Last year, the Battlehawks had their dreams dashed in the conference finals as the Brahmas rolled into St. Louis to silence the Dome.
Speed gone. Just like that.
And they just thoroughly dominated the game.
Will San Antonio remind the league of their championship aspirations?
He's got Kirkland open. Touchdown.
Or can St. Louis deliver yet another win for their raucous crowd? Brahmas, Battlehawks.
Let's go, Battlehawks!
Next on FS1.
Week 2 of the UFL season closes just outside the Arch in St. Louis with a rematch of last year's conference championship game. 10 months ago, San Antonio put an abrupt end to St. Louis's season in front of this raucous St. Louis crowd. And they meet for the first time in 2025 today and expect to be full throat with revenge on their mind against the Brahmas. With Joel Klatt, I'm Connor Onion. Joel, one difference from last year's playoff game is the quarterback matchup in this one today.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a team or a player more impressive in week 1 than the St. Louis Battlehawks and their quarterback, Manny Wilkins. He was really efficient in the passing game and effective running the football. That's exactly what they needed him to be. 17 of 22 throwing it. He ran it 8 times for 43 yards. He was a threat with his legs, which is exactly what Anthony Beck wanted out of his starting quarterback. Now for San Antonio, Kellen Mond, bit of a rough start offensively for the Brahmas. They're looking to get back on track. Now he was a 3rd-round pick of the Vikings back in the day, and they also want him to be using his legs as a threat. He only ran the ball 3 times in their week 1 loss last week to Arlington. Look for him to get loose on the edge a little bit today, and especially early in the game.
Mond and the Brahmas getting ready to run out here in St. Louis. Here's the PA announcer, Andy Banker.
Welcome tonight's visitors, the San Antonio Brahmas.
Well, here in St. Louis, the home team battle-tested. Today, they make their 2025 home debut. Here are the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Needs a deep one. He has got it.
To the end zone. Jump ball, leaping grab. Shaking, baking. Uh-oh. Let's go! He's our house. Law is the law.
Looking back at 80 yards to the house.
It's time. Here comes St. Louis.
Going to be another loud night at the Dome for this budding UFL rivalry. 3 matchups in 2024, including some late game drama. Kickoff is next. Few minutes away from a rematch of the conference championship game from last year, San Antonio and St. Louis. Couple of inactives before we get started. John Lovett, running back who set the UFL single game rushing record last year, not a go today. Hamstring keeps him out. Greedy Williams, who spent some time with the Cleveland Browns, also out in the secondary for the San Antonio Brahmas. And Hakeem Butler has a hamstring injury. He's out. He was the leading receiver and the Offensive Player of the Year in the league in 2024. So Wade Phillips trying to get his team back to the UFL championship game. Lost to Birmingham after winning here in St. Louis in the conference championship last year. Off to an 0-1 start with a loss to Arlington a week ago.
Yeah, Connor, they need to get back to their identity of defensive football, because Anthony Becht and this offense for St. Louis was incredible last week. They were running it well. Their offensive line was dominant, and he's, I'm sure, looking to get right back to that MO of allowing their offensive line to get after it and get their run game going.
Violence was the theme of his message before that offensive line took the field last week. They were the UFL Players of the Week, that entire unit. And here's Anthony Becht with Devin Gardner.
Coach, last week your team played really well, and when we talked earlier, you said when you watch the film that there were some plays left out there. How tonight do you make sure you take advantage of all the opportunities?
You know, I think it just comes down to preparation. You know, as a player, former players, we always felt like we had the answers to the test when we were prepared. We pushed that on our players and really sustaining special teams, offense, defense, what we did last week to improve upon it. So I trust my players. I love these guys. They deserve to perform great. I can't wait to watch them.
Home opener, rematch of the conference championship game. Talk about the atmosphere and what you expect from the Battlehawk fans.
Let's go, get loud. If I had a towel today, I'd be whipping it around. I love this fan base. St. Louis is awesome. I'm glad they're here. It's going to be a great environment.
Good luck there, Coach.
I appreciate you. Thanks, Dave.
You hear a lot of cacaws today throughout the dome, and towel waving, as Anthony Becht mentions. And San Antonio will get the ball first on the road, and here in St. Louis for the first time since that conference title game last year. And it's Anthony McFarland back to get the opening kick. Rodrigo Blankenship has it teed up for the Battlehawks. Final game of week 2 of the UFL is off and rolling from St. Louis. And McFarland brings it out across the 25 to the 30, and he's dragged down at the 33. And that's where Kellen Mond will start for San Antonio.
Yeah, Kellen, last year this San Antonio team in that conference championship game, their offense was really effective, and in particular on the ground, 213 yards on the ground. I believe that Kellen Mond is going to need to be able to run the football more in order for the Brahmas to be at their best. They need to get him incorporated not in the scramble game on passing attempts, but rather quarterback run. The zone game with their running backs, get number 12 going early in the run game.
And just 19 yards rushing for Mond last week, and the week 1 loss in his first start for San Antonio. On the first snap of the day, handing off to Jayshawn Corbin, and he grinds out a couple out to the 35.
Yeah, meanwhile, on defense, this Battlehawks defense, you know, they were embarrassed in that game. They gave up 213 on the ground, mostly to McFarland and Lovett. Lovett, of course, not active today for the Brahmas. But this is a defense that's very proud. And last week, they played about as well as any defense in the league. They won that game against Houston 31-6, and it really wasn't even that close. And so they're looking to prove a point here today.
Final drive away from a shutout for St. Louis. Mond to the air for the first time, and into tight coverage. It is broken up. Chris Payton-Jones with a knockaway to bring up 3rd down.
He's trying to run a quick, short route, create a more manageable 3rd down. And there's a little bit of a contact there, and Kirkland just can't quite get away. John Trey Kirkland, 8 targets week 1, 84 targets a year ago, led the UFL. So when San Antonio is throwing the football, they are certainly looking 13's way.
We welcome those of you who are just watching the NASCAR Cup Series from Darlington to a rematch of last year's conference championship game. On a 3rd down on the opening drive, Mond has it complete to his big-bodied wide receiver Jacob Harris to move the chains with a first down.
Now we're talking. How about the pocket presence? He's able to just step up in the pocket, and then he's just going to get the in-breaking route on the left side. Eyes over to the right, steps up in the pocket, and there you go. That's exactly what Kellen Mond and this offense needed, was a little success early after a week 1 game in which they didn't have much going the entire night.
A 21-yard hit on a 3rd down and 7 for Mond in this offense that scored just 9 points in week 1. Back to the air and off target, looking for John Trey Kirkland. Let's take a look at your players to watch, Joel.
Well, Kirkland's certainly going to be on that list. Anthony McFarland as well. Those two guys are going to have to be the main focal points of the offense for the Brahmas. Meanwhile, the 2 linebackers for this Battlehawks team, Mike Rose, Willie Harvey, both played their college ball at Iowa State. Willie Harvey led the UFL in tackles a year ago. They are all over the field, and one of the things that I love most about them, their instincts. They're always around the football.
San Antonio without John Lovett, one of the best backs in the UFL last year. This is swung out to the back, Corbin, and he's ushered out of bounds to bring up another 3rd down on this opening drive.
Well, that first 3rd down, they were able to get that big completion down the field to their big wide receiver, Jacob Harris, and we'll see if they get the protection necessary again to pick up what I would consider to be a longer yardage 3rd down opportunity.
Same exact down and distance as that first conversion when they got 21 yards to Harris. Just 2 for 11 last week on 3rd down. On their 2nd of week 2, Mond goes down. The pressure in his face gets there, and Travis Feeney with a 3rd down sack.
What a great move from Feeney. He's out here, and he's going to give a great upfield move, and then he's going to get inside of the tackle. Look at that spin, and then he splits a little bit of a double team, gets to the quarterback, and brings Mond down on a 3rd down. Feeney, excellent effort right there, and a beautiful spin.
And Joel, that was a question for Feeney this week. Could he finish a sack? He had the quarterback in his grasp a couple times last week and didn't finish, but today he does, to get the ball into his offense's hands for the first time. Brad Wing's punt is touched up by Harris at the 13-yard line. So the Battlehawks to the field on offense for the first time after this, after Travis Feeney puts it right in their hands with the sack.
Tough look. I mean, it's good. Yeah, that's good. Travis Feeney that just got a big sack, and he's going to take us through exactly how it happened and show us the move that made it happen.
Around back film study, I know he's not good countering back inside. So let's see. I know I was setting up a little speed high, spun move, picked him with the ice pick on the elbow. All good from there. Keep my feet, go upfield shoulder. Got the play done. Naruto celebration. My sin gun, it don't show it, but you know what I'm saying, anime fan.
Absolutely. The celebration is always very important. Very nice.
Oh, big anime fan. That's a good pickup from Dev.
Can't be just the first one. That's one of many. More to come.
Well, like we said going to break, he almost had a couple last week and finally gets that first one. He says many more to come. Now Manny Wilkins out at quarterback for the first time in week 2 for St. Louis. And to the air on his first one. Behind the line of scrimmage, Blake Jackson tripped up for a loss of a couple.
And he was really solid in week 1. 17 of 22, 189 yards. This is an offense that ran for a UFL record 273 yards in week 1. Jacob Saylor's really good. Jarvion Howard, he did the damage as well. The offensive line was dominant. You already touched on it, Connor. They were the best unit in the entire UFL in week 1.
And the first carry behind that big offensive line for Jacob Saylors. And he's out near a first down. They'll mark him a yard short at the 21.
We look at the players to watch, of course, with Akeem Butler out and inactive. Look for Pearson on the outside, as well as Sailors. And Sailors, again, he is a really solid back. 15 carries, 98 yards in that week one. The offensive line was really good. Kavion Patton, Devontae Beckett for the San Antonio defense. This was the #1 defense in the entire UFL a year ago. They came out last week in week one and laid a complete egg. They have got to right the wrongs that happened against Arlington last week.
Gave up 33 points in a 33-9 loss as Sailors is hit at the line. Darius Phillips up from defensive back to stop him.
I tell you, what a tackle from Darius Phillips. I believe that he's short there, and now it's going to be 4th down. How about Phillips? Here's Phillips over here from his secondary position, and watch him just close fast and get into the legs of Sailors, who cannot get the line to gain. And now, in this territory, I know Anthony Becht would love to try to go for this, but you just can't. Inside your own 25-yard line, and the Battlehawks will have to punt it away because of Darius Phillips coming up strong with the tackle.
Well, the shortest and lightest guy makes the 3rd down hit for no gain. So for the first time this year, St. Louis has to punt. Didn't see Sterling Hoffrichter all last week. Well, Marquez Stevenson back to receive it, and it sends him backpedaling near his 20. And looking for the edge, and he gets 12 yards out of the return of the flag down.
During the return. During the return. Holding. Receiving team number 22. 10-yard penalty. It's 1st and 10. Timeout on the field.
First time hearing from Chris Coit today. Both teams punt on their first drive. The Brahmas and Kellen Mond back to the field after this. Saturday, catch reigning AL MVP Aaron Judge as he leads the Yankees against the Giants at 3 p.m. Eastern on FS1. 2 drives in here in St. Louis. Both teams punted. And now the St. Louis fans back on their feet, making noise with San Antonio's offense back to work for the 2nd time.
Now let's be aware of number 41, Anthony McFarland. I think he's the most electric player that San Antonio has. When they got him the ball against Arlington week 1, they were able to go down the field and score. It's the only series that they did anything against the Renegades.
On 1st and 10, it is a touch for McFarland, and ahead into the wash on 1st down.
Yeah, if you look at what McFarland was able to do late last year, he was a big reason why San Antonio found themselves in the championship game. In fact, after he came back from a bit of a shoulder injury, he had 3 straight 100-yard games as far as total yardage goes. And last week he only had 5 touches. 3 of them were on one series when I said they went down the field and scored. Again, he's electric out of the backfield. You can throw it to him, toss it to him, hand it to him. 41 is dangerous.
They fake it to him on 2nd down and flip it out to the edge, and St. Louis all over it. Chris Payton-Jones involved again, and 3rd down coming up.
Ace right, blue left wing, next Nebraska, tight 9. Blue left swing, next Nebraska.
Here we go, ace right, blue left swing, ex-Nebraska on assignment 1, ready.
San Antonio 1 of 2 on that first drive on 3rd down. Mond back to the air and incomplete. Coverage from Brandon Sebastian. And the punt unit coming out again for the Brahmas.
You know, Connor, one of the things out of week 1 I thought San Antonio would change is that they were so static. Not any movement before the snap. And again, they come out here on a 3rd down. No motion, no movement. It's very easy for the defense to declare strength and then get their cleats in the ground and defend when you're just going to sit there in a static formation, trying to run a basic curl flat there, and Mond can't connect.
So 2nd time Brad Wing comes out to punt. And toward the boundary, it's picked up there by Pearson, and he tight ropes to make something out of that return. Punt fest to begin. 3 drives, 3 punts. St. Louis back out in a 0-0 game. And now, Above and Beyond, brought to you by Jersey Mike's, the Knights of Colombo, named for Mark Colombo, the offensive line coach for St. Louis.
I tell you, this group was sensational week one. I mean, they ran it all over Houston, and I would be really surprised if they don't try to get right back to the ground game. Think about it. First down, the first play of tonight's ball game, they throw a little swing pass out there and lose yardage, and Mark Colombo's got to be over there losing his mind. Now, I know he looks angry, probably not because of that. I think that's just his regular look, guys. Like, if you're an offensive line coach, you just got to stay angry. That's the way Mark Colombo kind of feels to me at 6'8" and the whole world.
That's not a guy I want to make upset with a play call. Well, they go reverse behind that offensive line to start this drive, and this works out much better with Gary Jennings with the first down of the day for St. Louis.
So they go back to the ground. Now a little razzle-dazzle here as they get a little bit of an end around. But what I do love about what St. Louis always does, and really always meaning week one and now into week two, is that there's misdirection. There are players moving opposite of each other, and that makes it very difficult on the eyes of the defense to stay home and stay disciplined. I touched on San Antonio being static offensively. Look at the movement from St. Louis, moving around and then players moving in multiple directions.
They put both Sutherland and Allen, their tight ends, in motion. And right up the gut with Sailors.
And that's
stay ahead of the chains.
And that helps an offensive line and an offensive line coach. So here's an example here. You're going to get the tight end. He's spinning back. He's going to take care of that backside edge. So in the run game, traditionally, what you'll see is that if you're going to run zone, you're going to have the backside into the line defender unblocked. All right, so the technicality then would be, how do you control that? Well, you can control them with movement and motion, or that spin back block from the tight end that you just saw.
Well, Sutherland, a weapon in the run game last week as a blocker. Off play action for Wilkins over the middle, and there's the tight end in the pass game. It's Sutherland with a first down to the 45.
Beautiful movement again. Look at the pre-snap. You're going to get some of this motion from behind, and you're going to get a little bit of this. You're going to get a play fake here, and what does that do? It draws up the linebackers and allows you to operate in that deep middle zone, and it's wide open. Jake Sutherland, easy catch, easy completion for your quarterback. But there was a flag down. I think that one was coming back.
It was 17 yards, but Jared Jones-Smith called for the hold, the left tackle for St. Louis.
Last year, he was an all-UFL player, right in front of you. Huge, number 75. They're both kind of holding each other there, That's a poor call by the official right there. They're both operating. I don't like that at all.
So wipe off the 17-yard gain on the hold to make it second down and 14. And here's one thing that Wilkins brings to this offense, the ability to get out of the pocket as he races for a first down.
In their postseason self-scout, they looked at the Birmingham Stallions and what made the Stallions so difficult to defend last year en route to their third straight spring football title. And you know what it was? The quarterback's ability to be a threat, running for first downs, escaping pressure, and being a threat with their legs. And that's something that they did not have with A.J. McCarron that they hope that they have with Manny Wilkins. It materialized in week one, and right here it materializes for them, creating an easier third down opportunity.
Marked him out 2 yards short. And they just get it off on 3rd and 2. A little flare out for Sailors, who hits the sideline. And a first down inside the 30 for Jacob Sailors.
Well, this is a terrific recognition of coverage. You've got a linebacker, and he's supposed to be lined up and locked on the running back. But when he blitzes, the running back is free. Great recognition from Manny Wilkins. It's just an easy flip over the top, and Sailors easily runs for the first down and a lot more yardage. Great job by Manny Wilkins.
Make it left, SL on.
Well, St. Louis got Sailors into the flat a couple of times on 3rd down last week. They get him for 23 yards on 3rd and 2. Off a play fake. Wilkins on the roll, taking off again, and seeks that sideline and is safely out of bounds with a 6-yard gain.
I really love what Phil McGagan, the offensive coordinator, has been doing, and this is a carryover from week one, Connor, and they're working against Wade Phillips and this defense for San Antonio. that was the best defense in the UFL a year ago. And yet, last week, San Antonio gave up 33 to Arlington, including 183 on the ground. They did not have a sack after last year leading the UFL in sacks. And right now, St. Louis is really attacking this defense.
Right on the edge of the red zone. And Pearson in the screen game is dropped behind the line. Third down coming for Phil McGegan.
Empty right, not true. Empty right, not true. Empty right, not true.
51, 51. Rita! Set. 319! Reset!
And this play blown dead. Flag comes out with movement at the line.
False start, offense number 73. 5-yard penalty, third down.
Well, if we think Mark Colombo looks angry just normally, how about after a couple of penalties on his offensive line? Here's Bushell-Beatty, Juwan Bushell-Beatty, 73, clearly out of his stance just a little bit early. That's going to back St. Louis up just a bit. Now it'll be 3rd and 10.
So penalty on this drive on both tackles. Bushell-Beatty here. Jones Smith on the hold earlier. 3rd and 5 becomes 3rd and 10.
Hey, see the back, take it up. Willie True, Willie True, Willie True. Easy, easy. Hey, hey. Jet false, jet false, jet false. We're good. Turbo, set.
And get it off. Wilkins on 3rd and 10. Taking a shot and broken up, incomplete. Darius Phillips with another 3rd down play, this time in coverage.
He had the 3rd down stop on the first series with a great tackle of Sailors right at the line of scrimmage. And here, you could tell Manny Wilkins was saying, I just need to throw that. He put too much air on the ball, and that's what allows Phillips to get over there full extension and bat the ball away from Pearson. Pearson was open, and he read it correctly, speaking of Wilkins, but he needed to drive that football all the way out to the edge of the field. But he throws with touch, and that allows Phillips to get out there and bat it away.
So a couple of penalties, and St. Louis will try a field goal with Rodrigo Blankenship. And he stays perfect on the year. Good from 48 last week, good from 45 to make it 3-0 St. Louis. No better home field advantage in the UFL right now than here in St. Louis. The Dome Field advantage, as they call it, a perfect 5-0 in the regular season last year, Joel.
Well, they were perfect in the regular season until the Brahmas came in and shocked them in that conference championship game. They actually played in back-to-back weeks to end the regular season, beat the Brahmas. Brahmas came back the next week, beat St. Louis in the Dome. There's Mark Colombo, the offensive line coach, going over the film with those 5 guys up front. But this home field advantage is real, and it's a huge tip of the cap to the fan base of the Battlehawks, because what Kellen Mond is going to have to deal with is crowd noise. And to be fair, it's not very common anywhere else. And here in St. Louis, it is. And we saw that on the previous series. It makes the communication with the coach tougher and communication with the rest of your offense tougher.
I don't know if that sign the fan was holding, "Claw is the law." I don't know if that made the UFL bylaws. Great sign for that fan. So McFarland brings this out. And he's out across the 30. And Kellen Mond starting the 3rd drive for San Antonio, looking for their first points.
Little punts here, and again, you look at this offense. Let's think along with A.J. Smith, and you look at what St. Louis has been effective with really for 2 games now.
Red F swing, V spot, Y stick Mills on a silent 1. Ready?
Let's see if they incorporate a little bit of movement here pre-snap. I think San Antonio has been a little bit too static offensively, and they need to get a little bit of movement. We don't get any there.
Line up out of trips, stay in trips. And Mond complete underneath for 3 on 1st down.
Ace right, Ravens insert. Pick up the pace.
Ravens insert. NASCAR, Ravens insert.
To the ground on 2nd and 6. And Corbin fighting for an extra yard. Brings up 3rd and short on a 4-yard gain.
Waddle on Frisco. Harris, scoot into the bottom of the number. You got a 3-step read. Waddle.
Trace right, ain't spirit. Waddle on a solid Frisco, right? Waddle.
San Antonio trying to stay on the field, and they will not. Knocked away on 3rd and 2.
Well, Mon got a little pressure off of that left side. Brandon Sebastian, I believe, got his hand on that football. He comes free, so you're going to get pressure over on this side. Mon's trying to get the ball out, probably has it, but there you see. Great job by Q Cole. That was Quinterio Cole, number 32. Got up, batted that ball away, and they'll punt it away.
Anthony Becht called his safeties as good as anybody in this league.
And that was my decision. Delay a game. Delay a game. Delay a game. Offense, 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
So backs up Brad Wing 5 more yards at the end of this first quarter. And that'll do it for the first from St. Louis. Q Cole after a pick last week. A knockdown on 3rd down to get the ball back to St. Louis to start the second quarter next. Pretty even through one quarter. 3-0 Battlehawks. The one drive, 8 plays, 59 yards, over 5.5 minutes. That's the one drive that's moved for St. Louis. Led to a Rodrigo Blankenship field goal. That's where we are through one quarter. And Battlehawks trying to get to 2-0. They beat Houston last week. San Antonio looking for back-to-back wins in the Dome after a conference championship win here last year. A busy start to the game for Brad Wing, his 3rd punt already. And Ja'Cour Pearson inside his own 5. Has a block out to the edge, reverses, and is planted at the 25.
Well, Connor, I was talking about that pre-snap movement, and St. Louis has done such a great job. First week 1 and now ultimately early in this game, whether it's just straight run plays, spinning the tight end back, or what they're doing, shifting pre-snap, motioning before the snap, and all of this movement just makes life difficult on the defense. They're constantly having to redeclare strength and work before the snap. They've got to work after the snap, making sure that they're in the right zone. They're coming up on zone fakes or run fakes, leaving areas open. I think Phil McGagan, the offensive coordinator for St. Louis, has done a marvelous job. This is his first time really calling plays. He's been a wide receiver coach really his entire life, but gets the promotion after Bruce Gradkowski was hired as an offensive assistant for the Detroit Lions just a month ago.
And his first play call on this drive has Wilkins reading out the back with a first down and a hit late. St. Louis looking for a flag on their own sideline. And it doesn't come, but it is a first down for Wilkins.
And again, here's what you get is that you get putting the defense in conflict, all right? So you're going to have a defender out here who's in conflict. He's got to come inside now. Wilkins is outside with a lead of the tight end. So you've got Chase Allen out in front of Manny Wilkins. So every single play, there is conflict being put on a player or an area of the defense for San Antonio. And that's what I love about this offensive game plan for St. Louis, both in week 1 against Houston, and that's carried over here tonight.
After 18 yards on first down, On another 1st and 10, out to Howard in the flat, flag out. He does nose ahead for a 1st down, but we'll check on the marker.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, defense number 47. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play. It's 1st and 10.
Another big play action, and you can see Jared Jones-Smith just gets beat, but after a step, just a huge shove, and you just can't do that. I don't understand sometimes these defensive players. Like, what does Lonnie Phillips think is going to happen when he shoves Manny Wilkins over like that? Like, does he think it's just going to be like, oh, yeah, man, it's all good? Wade doesn't like it, but it's like that is 1,000% a foul. It's a penalty every. I don't get it. This day and age, you cannot do that. If he didn't know before, he definitely knows now. You're right. Wade Phillips, hands overhead, did not like the call. Well, that's what they all complain, like, what? What do you mean? It's like that. What do you think that's not a flag?
Easy.
It's like a foul in basketball. Nobody thinks the foul's on them. So tack on a few more after Howard was out receiving, and he's grinding out more yards between the tackles for Phil McGagan.
Right 15, Zach Reed. Yak to gun double right 15, Zach Reed.
Hey, Yak, be smart, guys. Let's go. Yak to double right 15, Zach Reed on 1. Just widen.
Joel, you mentioned how Phil McGagan hadn't called plays for most of his career. You got to go back to 2008 at Naval Prep Academy, the last time he was a play caller. And his call on 2nd down is back-to-back runs, and that is stuffed. What's he got on 3rd down?
Pro right F surge 51 Y Hank X Pelican. Pro right F surge 51 Y Hank X Pelican.
Pro right F surge 51 Y Hank X Pelican on.
51 is a protection for St. Louis. Y Hank, now in the West Coast generally, and this is what I know, is Y is you're taking the tight end and you're just sticking him right over the ball.
On 3rd and 4 and right over the ball, they have it complete. It's Denzel Mims picking up 5 on 3rd and 4. 1st down.
And on Hank, it's just a really easy read. The first guy in the progression is just the Y on the Hank route. So you're just going to get a guy come in here and he's going to split. And if you get the linebacker split at all, so once the motion is that way, he's throwing that ball 100%. Did you see the defender follow the motion out? So the decision for Manny Wilkins was made before even the snap. He's not really concerned about the deep defender coming down. He's just going to get that ball out right on time.
More motion at play for St. Louis. And Wilkins trying to get around the edge, and he ends up making it back to the line of scrimmage for no gain.
Devin, don't you love it when an offense just has a rhythm and a plan?
Oh, yeah, it's really impressive to see. And for fans at home, when you hear Yak, Hack, H-A-C, that's H across or Y across for Yak, so that you can get those motions that you're talking about. And I'm just telling you, it's putting this defense in a bind. They can't figure out where guys are going to be, and that's exactly where you want them. You can see it happening again here. Even just that little motion to put Allen at tight end, that's also something that just messes with the defensive mind.
The Sailors switching sides at the end, out around the edge, breaks free for a touchdown.
I'll tell you, Manny Wilkins did such a great job there. He saw something along with Phil McGagan, and he moves the tight end in, so he changes the play. So now the tight end is in, and now he's going to move the back over as well. So now the back is over here. Why? Because they see a little bit of a crease that they can get because of those defensive line techniques. They get the blocks that they need, and Sailors is into the end zone. What a great job of recognition from the offensive coordinator, Phil McGagan, quarterback Manny Wilkins. They put it together, and great execution up front from that O-line.
Give me a new clock.
No.
You're good, thank you.
No kicks on PATs in the UFL. It'd go for 1, 2, or 3. They'll go for 2 after a 70-play, 60-yard touchdown drive. Well, Wilkins got the new clock that he wanted. And flips it out to Sailors, who was looking like he wanted to throw, and now his line pushing him toward the goal line. He's in there for 2. The Knights of Colombo carry the day on the 2-point try. Didn't look like anything was there until Mike Panashuk says, "Come here, big fella. I'll drag you into the end zone." Conversion good for St. Louis. Sailors in for the touchdown. Battlehawks rolling.
Yeah! 2 points.
Jacob Sailors for 6, and then 2 more on the 2-point try. And the Battlehawks add to the Rodrigo Blankenship field goal, up 11-0. And it was that offensive line once again, Joel, leading the way for Sailors.
Yeah, he was really good. Good cutback, good vision, but the O-line has been totally dominant through the first game and now here in the opening half of the second week. And Mark Colombo has got to be thrilled with the way that those guys have played. Other than just a couple of penalties, like they have played so well. They've been physical, and as their head coach put it, violent.
And one of the major keys for Anthony Becht in week 1, the violence and the quarterback run. And both have showed up again today. So San Antonio for the 2nd straight week playing from behind as McFarland can't crease it, not across the 30. Here's Devin with the leader of the Knights of Colombo, Mark Colombo himself.
Coach, there's been kind of a discrepancy on what is your actual face? Is it anger? Is it happiness when things go well?
I'm intense. I'm an intense guy.
Very intense. And so what does it feel like to watch your offensive line for 4 quarters and aside from a few threes today, continue to dominate and then push the running back in the end zone on that last play?
Oh, it's great. We did a good job on that try, but we got to do better. It's a whole game. We got a whole game to be played right now. All right, so we got to go right back to it. Keep the pressure on them.
I don't know how comfortable I feel. Your offensive line just warmed up for me, so I'm going to leave you alone.
Guys, these are my guys.
I'm going to leave you alone. Back to you, Joe.
Devin, get to safety.
I was going to say, you know what it is, Devin? Offensive linemen don't like any one guy getting credit. So even if it's their coach getting interviewed, they're like, hey, we're a group down here. So they rolled up on you like that, didn't they?
Oh, he had his band with him. Mark Colombo, a former heavy metal musician on top of being an NFL offensive lineman. Fits his personality well as Kellen Mond out of the pocket, and he takes off and is angled out to make it 3rd and short.
Well, everything that we've seen from St. Louis, we've seen the opposite from San Antonio, you know, so we've seen all the creative movement and motions pre-snap, and with San Antonio, it's not there. And so what that does is it forces Mond to be great post-snap. He's got to read everything that's going on. You've got to get wins on the outside and create separation, and they just haven't been able to do that.
Wade Phillips expected a higher level of comfort in his 2nd start with San Antonio. 3 punts, facing another 3rd down. Pressure, Mond gets it away, and a one-hand snag keeps the drive alive. Racy McMath, the former LSU Tiger, with a 1st down.
I'll tell you what, he just reached out left-handed like it was nothing, didn't he? I mean, that was put on him, and he just reaches out one-handed, bang, corrals it in. That is a big 1st down for San Antonio. They just had 1 before that tonight. Now they get their 2nd.
And Mond right back to the air, and it's juggled and dropped by the same target, Racy McMath.
Well, Racy, his one hand was better than 2, so he should have just reached out with his right hand, you know, just one-handed.
I'm sure he's doing that on the jugs machine all the time. 1/2. Guy that played with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase at LSU, part of that national championship team with Joe Burrow in 2019. Pressure coming on Mons, and he gets it away to the flat to McFarland, who is dragged down. Nowhere to go. Couldn't get away from Lucas Dennis, who brings up a third down.
Well, I want you to look at the left guard, because right now they're trying to go on silent cadence because of the crowd noise. So he reaches out that arm, but look at him time up the blitz. So St. Louis knows the cadence, the silent cadence. It's right after the arm of the guard reaches out to let the center know that the quarterback is ready. And so they're timing up their pressures right now to get pressure on Kellen Mond.
Part of the influence of this crowd. Bringing 4 on third down. And Mond zips it incomplete. Chris Payton-Jones all over Jontre Kirkland.
Boy, this defense is flying around, and Mond was trying to get Kirkland on that in-breaker, and it looked like he was open for a moment, and he just couldn't bring it in. And San Antonio is clearly frustrated offensively. This is an offense that did not get anything going in the UFL championship game last year against Birmingham, only 3 points. Then they come out last week, did not play well, only 9 against Arlington, and it's been a struggle so far here today through a quarter and a half.
St. Louis up 11, getting it back with Pearson on the return. Self-described intense guy. We can report Devin is okay after he was surrounded by Colombo and the boys. But his guys leading the way for Jacob Sailors, and the offense coming back out, putting a smile on the face of Mark Colombo. We've been talking a lot about Mark Colombo, the offensive line coach for the Battlehawks, and this is a staff full of former NFL players. Anthony Becht, of course, their head coach. Donnie Abraham for the Bucks played a playoff game in this dome against the St. Louis Rams. Chris Claiborne, Seneca Wallace, like Manny Wilkins, a mobile quarterback himself. There's Claiborne. This is a superstar staff, Joel.
Yeah, it really is, and all that NFL experience, and what that does is it breeds trust. You know, the players trust these guys because they've been there, they've experienced it, they've played at the highest level, they've been to the places that these players want to go. And you can tell, and you can tell from the buy-in, you know, the level of execution and detail being played with in a big way as a result of the trust that these guys have in the coaching staff.
Wilkins and St. Louis back in the field, throwing a deep ball and connecting on a deep ball. Down the sideline and out of bounds for Gary Jennings on the first play of the drive.
Well, when you're running it so effectively, what you can do is you can take shots down the field. Great route by Gary Jennings. He's going to force it inside, and then he's going to break outside, and now it's on Manny Wilkins to just give him enough air, and that ball gets over Bo Pete Keys, number 3, who tried to jump. But even though it's not a great spiral, it's perfectly thrown, and Jennings is able to corral that. And now St. Louis again rolling down the field. They're all the way down to the 20-yard line.
58 yards for Jennings, and San Antonio probably saying, not that guy again. He was on the Birmingham team that beat him in the UFL championship game a year ago.
Well, and think of it this way, you know, here's this offense that is just rolling. You know, 10 yards per play tonight, over 7 yards per rush after last week running it for 273. What about 6.5 per carry in week 1? So think about this, Connor. This is a scary thought for the rest of the UFL. The Battlehawks offense right now is rolling, maybe the best in the league. And they haven't even gotten a catch from last year's Offensive Player of the Year, Akeem Butler, who's not even active tonight. So, you know, when he comes back to this offense, they will have another threat to an already dangerous offense.
Did all that damage last week with Butler only getting 1 target. He's out with a hamstring injury today. That's wrapped up in the backfield. Henry Black making a play behind the line.
And the other thing that they're not having to do is expose Manny Wilkins on many quarterback runs, you know, because they've been so dominant up front.
Empty left, 50 story, wide special on. 50. Let's go! Set! Denzel. Be that key!
In field goal range, looking for more on a 3rd down and 8. Pressure picked up on the backside. Wilkins escapes. and puts the stiff arm on and stays on his feet. Get a couple of yards. Now some shoving ensues after that. And a flag does come out.
Okay,
Corey Mayfield.
Let's put a ball down right there. And we're going to go to the 2.
I get 5 for instant. 5 was right in his face.
So we're still going to go 16.
You want to get the quarterback first for getting in his face? I don't mind him in the face. He just can't do that. I only got the one person. 28 on the San Antonio.
So personal foul 28. After the play, personal foul, defense number 28. The penalty places the ball at the 2-yard line where it's first down.
You know, Dean Blandino is our rules official today, and Dean, I'm surprised that they didn't go both ways there, because clearly Wilkins kind of stepped into Mayfield in kind of a taunting action there.
You know, as I was watching it, I kind of said the same thing. I was like 5-5 back away. The officials didn't think that was enough, but obviously the retaliation was more than enough. So they were going to let it go completely. And then obviously couldn't let it go when he punched the ball out and then hit Wilkins in the face.
Yeah, it's always the second guy, Connor.
And they had him stopped. Instead, 1st and goal. And Sailors with another flag out is dropped again. Jalen Elliott the first there.
Thank you. Holding. Offense number 84. The penalties decline. It's 2nd down.
I think this is the spot on the field that they'll miss Akeem Butler. When they get down inside of the red zone, I know that they've already been effective and they've gotten into the end zone once already in the normal series, but now they're behind the chains.
Spread left. Yak, hey, Yak, retreat like fly. Yak just spread left, 14, really read. Nitro.
He was such a one-on-one threat as a wide receiver, and just a guy that you could go to in a spot like this. I think this is where they miss him.
We're good, we're live. Monday, set.
Butler out with the hamstring injury. 6'5", 220 target they're missing down here. Wilkins out the back door with a stutter. And seeking the pylon, he's hit short with Mayfield back in there. 3rd and goal coming. Let's see where they go here.
Gun double left, F lasso, same 14 lead. Gun double left, F lasso, same 14 lead.
Double left, F lasso, 14 lead on one. Same, lead.
I think you're going to get one of these motions here, like a lasso motion.
Timeout before that. San Antonio took it. All right, Devin, what do you got?
Yeah, you've talked about it all game, the window dressing, right? The different motions and things of that sort. You heard there, lasso just to run a 14 lead, right? That's just a basic run play, but the window dressing is what they're expecting to confuse the defense, to make sure that it opens up some gaps and essentially blocks some defenders and create those things we call winner blocks, so the offensive line can get to the 2nd level.
And Devin, as you were talking, I think Wade Phillips is going to throw a super challenge here.
You got holding on number 2 on the previous play.
And so yeah, it does sound like he's going to super challenge. So Frank Darby is number 2.
Offensive holding.
He's a wide receiver, and he was on the play side on the last run from Manny Wilkins.
Holding by the offense, number 2 on this side.
You can challenge any call with the super challenge. We saw this be a big deal in the San Antonio-St. Louis playoff game last year. Or I'm sorry, in the regular season matchup. Anthony Beck's challenged and won.
So there's Darby right here, and they're challenging that there was a hold on him. Oh, they're going to get that. Look at him turn it, and then he never let go. He still has hands on it. I think that they're going to win that challenge. That initial grab, maybe that left hand came off, but boy, I would be pretty surprised if they don't win that challenge. Darby pleading his case.
There is some contact. There is slight grab, but there's no material restriction. Blocker keeps his feet moving, so he's going to lose the challenge. Legal. And so you've got the dead ball spot. We're going to charge a timeout, correct.
And he cannot
challenge again. Yes.
But this is the timeout that we're in, so he's only losing this timeout. Okay.
Good.
Thank you. After review, there is no holding on the play. The contact was ruled legal. San Antonio has lost his right to challenge for the remainder of the game and has charged its first timeout.
And Darby is still saying that's exactly what I did.
You good? Let's go.
I will say, Darby is saying, look, I'm moving my feet, I'm inside, and then he's going to motion right here that he lets go. There he goes, and he does kind of let go, but man, I don't know. I don't know. I would not have. I thought Bo Pete Keys was held there, but 3rd and goal. And if they stay with lead here, watch out for a lead right here from the back. And Sailors is bottled up. Flag is out again. As Kobe Jones penetrated the backfield.
Okay, so we're going to go half the distance. What? Do you have a number? No number. Okay. Offside, lined up in the neutral zone defense. Half the distance to the goal. 3rd down.
It does look like they are lined up offside there. Far side official after his flag right away. Well, now that makes that equation. I thought they were going to have the decision for 4th down, but now I think Anthony Becht is trying to make that decision now. Does he have 2 downs to score? Does he have 1? What do you think, Joel? I think 2. I would go for it on 4th here. Run it a couple of times. It's a run on another 3rd and goal. Sailors reaching. Ball comes out. And San Antonio's on top of it. Lonnie Phelps ends up with the ball on the reach from Jacob Sailors, but is he down?
Okay. Okay.
Got the spot. I got the spot.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. It's 1st down.
Wow, I mean, if this holds up, we'll obviously take a look at this. But if this holds up, what a huge stop. This will be a great angle. I never thought that Sailors was down because there was players under him. So the whole question is the ball over? I think it's actually going to be over the goal line because you can tell where his hands were. It was over the plane of the goal line. Then he was contacted and it came loose. But as a runner, the play is dead as soon as that ball touches the plane of the goal line.
With control of the ball, broke the goal line plane for a touchdown.
That's exactly right. The expedited review through Dean Blandino in the command center, and here you go. He's got control. He's a runner. Plays dead right there. It's a touchdown. The ball is over the plane of the goal line. Then the contact, and it comes loose. And St. Louis into the end zone for another touchdown. Sorry, Joel. Dean, what did you see on the expedited review?
We pieced a couple of angles together. We had the goal line shot, and then we had an end zone shot that showed he still had control of the football. But I want to go back and debate the hold with Joel. We need to go talk about that one.
I knew it. Dean, I knew you would. I'm not normally for like offensive holding there. I thought he maybe had that left hand.
We want
but
less fouls.
That's true. You know what? I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That was a terrific expedited review, though. He's exactly right on that control over the goal line. Wilkins with St. Louis going for 2, and it's broken up. And Bo Pete Keys with the knockaway to keep it at 17 for St. Louis.
San Antonio so close a couple of times on that drive to getting off the field. Penalty on third down, a lost challenge. Thought they had a fumble, but after all that, 6 more on the board for St. Louis. The road to the Indy 500 hits the streets of Long Beach for the 50th running of the Long Beach Grand Prix. The fastest racing on earth continues next Sunday at 4:30 Eastern on Fox. Joel, if you're St. Louis, how are you managing the end of this half with your timeouts?
Man, I'm going pedal to the metal. You want fast. You know, if you're not first, you're last right here. And here's what I would do if I was St. Louis. They're going to get the second half kick. Okay, and so I would be as aggressive as possible defensively here to try to get a 3-and-out, maybe even use a timeout if I'm Anthony Beck, so I can have a couple of timeouts plus the 2-minute so that I can score before the half and get that possession to start the third quarter. This is a point in time where you got to think, stick your foot on the throat of your opponent. It's a huge moment in this game. If you're aggressive defensively, I think that they should do that.
San Antonio, a couple of missed chances on defense, and they'll try to get their offense going. McFarland out of the pile. Here's Devin.
So I saw you over there talking to your offensive line. You were imploring them something. What was the conversation about?
Just to remain together as a team. As we know, if we play together and play to the best of our ability, there's not a team in this league that can phase us, can touch us. So, you know, we just got to reel it in, focus on us. You know, there's a lot of talk going on out there. We need to just stay focused. You know, don't waste our energy on the bull crap out there.
Talk about the play of the offensive line, push you in the end zone, and then you making sure you stretch over the end zone. Talk about that last play and how you knew you had it in.
You know, it's just a collective team effort. I knew if I wasn't there, I knew there was going to be some big old human beings behind me pushing me. So, you know, it's a collective effort. And like I said, as long as we play as a team, we know we're unfazed.
Take them to dinner.
I've already had. I get them Peter lights before every trip, you know. So at least once a week, running backs, me, Jarvion, keep on. We do something for them big guys.
Smart man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Touchdown scorer, electrolyte provider with the Pedialytes before the trips. And a confident dude, Joel. He feels nobody in the league can touch him when they're playing like this.
Yeah, well, and listen, through a couple of weeks here, that's the case.
Yeah, it was the receiver that was in front of the running back when he made the catch out on the DB. He was blocking him early. I believe it was 5.
Oh, we got a super challenge here.
Yeah, that receiver was blocking the DB. The running back was not at the line of scrimmage. He was already across. He was picking him, so it's...
Pass interference on the play. The play is under review.
All right, they're going to say here that Marquez Stevenson, number 5, was in contact with a defender and blocking before the catch, which would then be offensive pass interference, a pick. Now, what we're going to have to check is where the ball is caught. Because, okay, so here's Stevenson, and they're saying that he blocked before the ball is caught right here. Now, if the ball is caught past the line of scrimmage, which it is, because that ball was snapped at about the 23-yard line, he caught it about the 26, then if that contact took place before the catch, it is an offensive pass interference.
It was 1st and 10. So we'll enforce the penalty, and St. Louis wins the challenge.
And that's St. Louis wins the challenge, and that's correct. A 10-yard penalty.
10-yard penalty, yeah. Correct.
Thank you. Okay. After review, pass interference, pass interference, offense number 5. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. 1st down.
You know, Connor, you know, Beck has done an incredible job. So, again, the penalty is going to be right here on Stevenson. But you go back to that game to end the regular season, and here's the block that takes place. So he contacts him, and the catch has not been made. That's offensive pass interference. Good call by our command center. But Beck had a huge super challenge in the last 2 minutes of that regular season finale with San Antonio. So he's clearly good information from upstairs.
Well, that sent him to 7-3 and sweeping the regular season against these guys last year. Joel, I'm curious, how much of that you think is coming from upstairs with the staff for Anthony Becht, and how much of it is him seeing it in real time?
You know, Devin can ask him, but I would suggest 98% from upstairs. You've got to trust what your guys upstairs are seeing. And see on the left side of the screen over there, they've got the broadcast in the booth, so they can see replays as we're seeing them here at home, and that helps them out quite a bit.
Pressure, and St. Louis almost got to Mond, and they trip him up back at the line.
Nate Maydors brings us to the 2-minute warning in the first half. Battlehawks looking for 2-0. San Antonio will have to come back for back-to-back wins in the Dome. Coming up, the Progressive halftime show. First half stats and analysis from this one, plus highlights from week 2 around the UFL, and we'll also take you inside the locker rooms. I don't know if those guys are playing kings or what's going on there. Playing card plus a tall boy. I think there's some shenanigans going on at the Dome today.
It's his lucky card.
I guess so. Well, San Antonio's offense, 2 first downs, 4 punts in this first half. Facing a 3rd and 16, and Mond zings it to the far side, complete for a first down to Jacob Harris.
That is a massive completion here, because St. Louis was going to get that ball back with plenty of time, 3 timeouts left, and they gave him soft coverage on the outside. Surprised that they did that, but a beautiful throw from Kellen Mond there to convert.
San Antonio with the 1 timeout, keep the drive going on a 3rd and 16, and looking to get out of bounds with Kirkland, and he does, to stop it at 138.
And Kirkland's been a bit quiet so far tonight. They need to get him going.
Ace right Ravens. Ace right Ravens.
Hey, Ace right Ravens on a silent 1, ready?
They keep going on this silent 1 cadence. This is what the Battlehawks have timed up. If they want to pressure, they know exactly when to go. Here they go again. See, that timed it up perfect.
5 guys coming into a run play, and Corbin breaks through it for a first down, and he gets some leg drive from his offensive line. Willie Tyler is left tackle with about 5 extra on the push.
Hey, strong right. Hey, NASCAR red. NASCAR red. Come in.
First timeout St. Louis, their first.
Timeout St. Louis, their first of the half.
Well, you start thinking about field goal range here. Donald De La Haye, a.k.a. Destroying. He's got more social media followers than everyone on the field combined. He is the kicker for this San Antonio team. He hit from 39 in week 1. He did miss from 56. And to be fair, it was not particularly close. I do think, obviously, you see some of his YouTube videos. He's got the leg. So at this point, you would think that San Antonio likely right at about range for De La Haye. They would love to get a bit more. His first made field goal since high school was last week against Arlington.
Joel, I don't know. I feel like the Joel Klatt podcast is starting to make a run toward De La Haye.
Hey, dude, he's got 6 million YouTube subscribers. I'm like, dang, man. You know, throw a few 100,000 around. You know, just like to dish him out.
Maybe you bring him on the pod, you guys collaborate, then you get up to 6 mil.
There you go.
On a 1st and 10 after back-to-back 18-yard gains. Mond is swung down for the 2nd sack of the day. Austin Falu gets to Mond for a 7-yard loss.
Well, you cannot take a sack as a quarterback here. Kellen Mond, now granted, he doesn't have a tremendous amount of time, and in particular with that pressure coming right from the middle, it was really Travis Feeney who was there first, number 56, and like week 1 when he didn't get those sacks, but he was close to the quarterback, that's again the case.
With some boundary pressure, it's picked up into that hole, and it's incomplete. Jacob Harris between 2 defensive backs, and it's 3rd and 17. Devin.
Yeah, I think that they have to get at least 12 more yards before they can feel comfortable really giving a shot to De La Haye to get the field goal kicked. And you talked about Feeney on that last play. they have a beat on that snap count, just like you talked about. He slid in and made it very difficult for the guard. He pushed the guard into the backfield, made Mon move, and then you get the pressure from the rest of the team. They have a real advantage right now against this offense.
And a timeout will have to be burned with 1 on the play clock.
I think, Devin, you made a great point here. This is not about 3rd and 17. This is about field goal range. It's great. It's a total plus if you actually move the chains. But what you've got to communicate, if you're A.J. Smith, the offensive coordinator, to the quarterback, Kellen Mond, is field goal range. And you need to call a concept that has field goal range in mind, not necessarily moving the chains. The next thing that you would want to do if you're San Antonio, and this is where Wade Phillips would come in, is that you need to think about forcing St. Louis to take a timeout. So you don't want to take a timeout. You would want the clock to go all the way down inside of 4 seconds and then take your timeout in order to kick the field goal on 4th down, which then would be the last play of the half. If St. Louis wants to receive a kickoff after this field goal attempt coming up, if you get the 12 yards, then they would need to take a timeout.
And the good news for San Antonio, they've hit on 18 yards twice on this drive. They need 17 for the first. At least a handful more for field goal range. And Mond going for the first down. He's got it again. Jacob Harris. Another play downfield, and the drive survives to the first down.
Yeah, and they're going to Jacob Harris when they need big completion. 6'5", 220, and gets a huge one there, moves the sticks, and the Brahmas are in business.
He got 30 on 3rd and 17. And back to the ground. It's Corbin with half a minute to go until the half.
Boy, you can't run the ball there unless you're just going to attempt a field goal. Now they're not even using their timeout. Oh my goodness, the mismanagement of the clock right here is egregious.
And so 20 seconds gone, now 25 seconds gone since that first down, and down to 13 as the ball is snapped. Now back to the air with 10 on the clock for the end zone, incomplete. Now how do you manage it, Joel?
I think with 8 seconds, you still have a chance to take a quick strike to the end zone. There's still a timeout. So if, in fact, you need to call the timeout, if the ball is tackled short of the goal line, then you can do that. Remember, the clock stops also with a first down, which you could get if you gained nine yards.
And they're looking at possibly 5 or 6 more plays.
You can't hold the ball here if you're the quarterback, though, Connor. That's the biggest thing. He needs to make a quick decision.
3rd and 8 seconds. Fade for the end zone, incomplete. Chris Payton-Jones. It's been a no-fly zone his way today. 4th and 8.
He's been excellent over there. 6 foot, 230 pounds, trying to go to Kirkland. And Kirkland was just unable to get any separation, in particular, away from that sideline. You know, as a defender, if you're going to defend a fade, you want to push him into the sideline. That makes it a much more difficult throw and catch. It's exactly what Payton-Jones did.
So here is destroyer Donald De La Haye. And before his 31-yard try, it's blown down.
Timeout, right? Second one. Prior to the snap, timeout, St. Louis, their second in the half. Please reset the game clock to 4 seconds. 4 seconds, please.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Thank you. Yep.
Remember, San Antonio got the ball first, so St. Louis will get the ball at a halftime.
Yeah, that's why this was such an important drive. And how about that 3rd down throw from Mond? You know, finding Jacob Harris for Mond on that critical 3rd, what was it, Connor, 17? And they were able to move the chains. Just a critical throw right there to not only give them a chance for points, but also drain the rest of the clock.
3 explosive pass plays on the drive to give De La Haye a chance for the first points of the day. From 31 at the end of the half, and Destroyer knocks another one through. The second field goal of the year and his first 2 since high school. So into the locker room at
17-3 St. Louis. And 6 million people applaud. And a growing audience probably. Might be up to he might be up to 7 mil.
That's right. It was a good last series there. Again, like that could have gone a lot of different ways. And you got to credit Kellen Mond because there was some pressure on that series. And he was able to hang in there and make a couple of good throws. But, man, Anthony Becht has got to be so thrilled with the way that his team is playing. The pressure on the quarterback and the offensive line and the way that they've been able to run the football. 96 yards on the ground so far, Connor, over 5 per rush.
And Jacob Sailors with 2 of those touchdowns. Here's Devin.
Coach, what can you say about Jacob Sailors and the ability of the offensive line to continue to impose their will?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's been a big part of our success in the running game. You know, buyer beware when you stick the ball like that. If you get it, it's a great play. If you don't, you got to answer to it after. But, you know, we had 2 critical penalties on a 3rd down and a big play early in the game. We can't have that. And then we let up that 3rd down conversion. That really kind of ticks me off. We got that. But I love the effort for our guys. The score's 0-0 when we come out, so we got to come out and battle. This team will give us all they got.
Is that the conversation? 0-0, clean up the penalties and move forward?
100%. We got to finish games, man. You got to play 60 minutes in this league. With all the type of scoring that you can do, we can't let the foot off the neck in this one like we did last week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Dad.
Time for tonight's big move, brought to you by Pods. Jacob Sailors, one of the guys that Anthony Becht was just talking about, 2 touchdowns and a conversion in that first half after his big week last week. He's carried it right into the first half this week. That was his 20-yard touchdown run behind his offensive line. That was the UFL Players of the Week, and Sailors wasn't done. He converted with a little push from behind, and that was our Pods. Big move of the first half. That's the end of the first half, 17-3, St. Louis. We'll be right back with the Progressive Halftime Show. Welcome back to St. Louis. Tonight's UFL Halftime is sponsored by Progressive. Inside the leading locker room, St. Louis behind Jacob Sailors, 2 touchdowns plus a 2-point conversion, lead at 17-3 over San Antonio. Rematch of last year's conference championship game in the XFL Conference. Highlights from this weekend, the Stallions and the Panthers with 2023 UFL MVP Alex Magoo taking the field for the Stallions. First play from scrimmage, Magoo keeps and picks up a yard. He's down in pain, and Magoo ended up leaving the game with a shoulder injury. Former MVP of the league with that play knocking him out. And then in the fourth quarter, Stallions up 12-0. Now back up Matt Corral. Corral goes deep, connects with Deion Kane for the 52-yard touchdown, and the Stallions win it 21-12. Showboats and Defenders. Fourth quarter, Showboats down 9-6. E.J. Perry drops back, keeps it himself, and goes in for a 16-yard touchdown. Showboats up 12-9 following a failed 1-point attempt. Then Jordan Ta'amu finds Chris Rowland for a 45-yard gain. And later in the drive after that, Ta'amu took it himself and connects with Ben Bresham for a 3-yard touchdown as the Defenders win it 17-12. So good days for former Ole Miss quarterbacks in our first 2 UFL games. Fourth quarter of the Roughnecks and Renegades game. The Spring King, Louis Perez, throws a dime to Deontay Burnett, who comes down for the 9-yard touchdown. Renegades up 11-3 following the successful 2-point try. And Anthony Brown finds Emmanuel Butler for a 17-yard touchdown. Roughnecks trailing 11-9, ensuing 2-point try. Brown scrambling, and he was ruled down before the goal line. And on replay, Brown's knee down, and the 2-point conversion no good. Renegades hold on to win it 11-9. Anthony Becht said the message is 0-0 as they head out leading 17-3 after the first half. Well, here in the UFL, we have incredible access with cameras and mics everywhere. Let's take a look and listen to the best moments from UFL kickoff weekend.
It is year 2 of the UFL on Fox, and we're going to continue to see quality football.
Oh, yeah! Oh, they came out! A stiff arm makes a man miss!
Yeah, you don't want that smoke. 435 brick. We're going to take a shot right now. Let's go.
The UFL knows what gets the people going.
Let's go some airborne. Picked up. What a snatch.
Kalen Ballage breaking tackles and going all the way to the end zone for the touchdown.
Excellent run from Kalen Ballage.
Good job. Good job. It's a way to get to that guy.
Hey, hey, hey! You gotta cover, protect, and then cover.
Put your foot on their throat and dominate.
What a run. Nothing between him and the end zone. And there they go.
Boom, baby! Hey,
go for one.
Make him kick this! Oh, and the helmet comes off on that vicious hit.
They're really good defensively. The best defense in the UFL.
The TC Defenders vanquish the reigning champions, the Birmingham Stallions.
Makes a move.
Breaking free.
Into the end zone.
It's a breakaway for 25 yards for Nakua. Time now, being pressure, tries to spin out of it. And that ball is picked off. Michigan's going to close it out with Kai Nakua returning it. And he may go all the way. Game sealer.
Welcome back to St. Louis. Tonight's UFL halftime is sponsored by Progressive. Got a good one here from the Battlehawks. They have been dominant. 17-3 over the San Antonio Brahmas. This is a rematch of the conference championship game from a year ago. San Antonio came into this building and beat the Battlehawks, but it has been all St. Louis so far here today. And this Battlehawks team went right down the field, had a couple of penalties, so had to settle for a field goal. Rodrigo Blankenship from 45. That was true. And then that run game started getting going. And I tell you what, it has been dominant. Jacob Sailors, he is in the end zone, and that's a touchdown for the Battlehawks. This run game has almost 100 yards already on just 18 carries, nearly 6 a rush, but they also got that ball down the field. Gary Jennings Jr. with a 58-yard reception, and that would set up Sailors, who just held on long enough as the ball broke the lane of the goal line before it came out. And that was a touchdown, and St. Louis is up 17-0 at that point. But San Antonio, give them a lot of credit. Right before the half, they got a couple of really strong conversions on third down and set up their kicker, Donald De La Haye, for a field goal. And here are your first half stats. Rushing yards, all Battlehawks, 96-41. Total yards as well. Those penalties, they have hurt the Brahmas. 2 of them on third down defensively allowed St. Louis to stay on the field and eventually get a touchdown. They've got to clean that up here in the second half. It'll be the Battlehawks with the ball when we come back. The second half kick from St. Louis right here on FS1. (17-3) St. Louis in the first half. Back with Joel Klatt, Connor Runyon. Here's Devin Gardner with Wade Phillips, the San Antonio head coach. Devin coming up next. The kick received by St. Louis out to the 30, and now here's Devin Gardner.
Coach, a bit of a slow start. What was the conversation like in the locker room?
Yeah, we're fighting our way back in the game. We still need to make some plays, but you know, Blandino, you're killing us up there. You know that. Wow.
He was my partner in pickleball. He killed me too. I'm just telling you. Thanks, Coach.
Dean, you get called out. That's incredible. Oh, is there anything better than the UFL? Oh, that was so good. I thought maybe we'd get a rebuttal from Dean, too. Just 2 thumbs up. He doesn't want to argue with Wade, just me. Oh, that's great. Oh, creative. Handoff for Pearson, and curls around the sideline for 8 yards. Yeah, here's what I love, and I've been talking about this all day long, and Devin, you and I have touched on it. So here's Pearson, but you're going to get kind of like a spin and then the handoff from the quarterback. So he fakes the toss out on the outside to Howard, and then just gives that underneath handoff to Pearson. And again, it just puts pressure on the defense. Every single offense on the planet should be trying to put the defense in conflict as much as possible, and St. Louis has done that today. Back-to-back runs start the second half. First Pearson, now Howard for a first down. I'll tell you, man, they have been just very run heavy, and why not? You know, they've only thrown 6 passes. Connor Wilkins is only 5 of 6. Now, granted, for 96 yards because of that long 58-yard completion to Gary Jennings Jr., but they have been doing this all on the ground. Now, 19 rushes for over 100 yards, so Sailors is getting it done.
This is a week after St. Louis rushed for 273 yards, a franchise and UFL record. The first pass of the half, pressure from the backside gets to Wilkins. Kobe Jones with the first sack for San Antonio.
It looked like St. Louis just kind of lost track of Jones because he's here on the outside, but watch as the tight end goes down the field, and now he's got kind of an extra long edge, and it looks like the tackle loses him. The guard tries to bump out there in order to get him. Mike Panashuk, he tries to get out there, but not before Kobe Jones can get to the quarterback, and that's exactly what San Antonio needed.
That'll make Will Reed smile, their DC. That was their first sack of the season. A game and a half in. Run on 2nd and long for Howard, who trucks out to the edge with a flag down behind the run after Chris Steele got to him.
Holding. Offense number 1, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So when you think about the way that San Antonio dominated a year ago, you know, they were number 1 in scoring defense, total defense, passing defense, 3rd down, sacks, and red zone defenses as it relates to touchdowns. The reason really was because of quarterback pressure. Leading the UFL in sacks was a huge reason why they were such a dominant force. Coming into this game, and until that last sack by Kobe Jones, they had not had one. So Will Reed knew that he needed to get pressure on the quarterback, and Kobe Jones finally is able to get home here in the second half of the second week.
Pearson was just called for the penalty. They put the ball right in his hands, and he makes it 3rd down and a little bit more manageable after a 12-yard gain.
Right classy, 3-jet dagger. Trade right classy, 3-jet dagger.
3-jet dagger, dummy. 3.
It's on pace for allowing more yards than last week. San Antonio defense, and right about the same number of points.
We're live, we're live, we're live. Turbo, set.
3rd and long for Wilkins. And over the middle, complete for a 1st down. Blake Jackson moves the chains.
Well, the first thing you need here is a little protection because this is a slow developing route. You're going to try to clear out the defense and then bring the outside receiver in on an in-breaking route. So then you get the clear out right there, and sure enough, what happens? The defense has a big hole right in the middle, and Manny Wilkins gets the protection that he needs, and it's an easy completion to Blake Jackson, and you move the sticks after being, what, 2nd and forever? What was it, 2nd and 26?
Yep. Got all of it on a 3rd down and long, and Sailors with 7 yards on 1st down after Blake Jackson's first catch of the day went for 26.
That's just so demoralizing. You think about what's going on today, you know, long 3rd down conversions for St. Louis, and then even think about that touchdown series where San Antonio had 2 3rd down penalties that extended the drive for St. Louis. So the Brahmas just unable to get off the field right now. St. Louis is 5 of 7 on 3rd down.
Also looked like San Antonio had punched the ball out at the goal line on Sailors, who carries it for 2 to bring up 3rd down.
Trips right, F lasso, H Rio, F bubble. Trips left, F lasso, H Rio, F bubble.
Trips right, F lasso, H Rio, F bubble on 1.
You're going to get some creative movement here. Okay, so you're going to have guys going in multiple different directions here, and then they're going to try to get, I believe, you're going to try to get a little bubble screen right here to Pearson.
So he looked at that F bubble, but goes to Sailors instead, who evades a couple of tacklers in the backfield for a 1st down.
So they use Pearson in the motion here, and they come right back to the traditional screen on the right side. How about these offensive linemen doing a great job? Watch as they're going to get out and off their blocks and get blocks in front of Sailors. So a beautiful job up front. And I got to credit Abdul Beecham, 62. Because what I think offensive linemen do a poor job of screens is that they automatically just disengage. But he stayed on the defensive lineman through the entirety of the play.
Beecham, the only new starter this year on the offensive line. Great continuity up there. It's been part of this big start for St. Louis.
Yeah, we got a man down. That's Devontae Beckett. They cannot afford to lose him. But just to finish that thought on the screen, and what I was talking about with Beecham is so many times the offensive lineman just expects to disengage from the defensive lineman and get downfield, but the defensive lineman read it perfectly. So what do? Stay on him. And he stayed on the block, and it was a positive play. 17-3, St. Louis, all Battlehawks so far.
That was tonight's Game Flow, brought to you by Progressive. I think that fan has said cacaw a few times in his life. That's exactly right. Oh, has he got his own camera right there? He does. He's got his own camera. Is that a selfie camera? Is that what he's recording his own reaction? Let's see if it's a positive reaction here. That looks like what Destroyer uses on some of his YouTube videos. Second down for St. Louis after Beckett came off for San Antonio, and Pearson got a block from his tight end Sutherland and sprung him for a couple extra.
Well, let's go back to reaction cam. Well, let's see. Oh, no reaction. Wait, you can't film. What's going on? We can't film the reaction. What are we doing here?
Bunch left.
Okay, so the camera looks like it's pointed away. Okay, so he's filming this from the first. Well, listen, I don't want to get into filming from the stands. Oh my goodness, that's just sending me back 2 years to college football.
I think that was B-roll. That is caught, and Denzel Mims is inside. I know that was a different Connor, Joel, if you were wondering.
Goodness gracious, I don't want any part of that right now, Connor. My goodness. Good throw there, though. How about that to Denzel Mims? And Mims finally getting involved today. He's got a couple of catches. Did not have a grab in the first week. He was formerly a second-round pick by the Jets back in 2020. So finally getting Mims involved here.
42 catches in his career in the NFL with the Jets. Former Baylor Bear. Sailors with the bounce outside for his third touchdown of the game.
Well, you get a couple of San Antonio Brahmas here, and they just never maintain the edge. So first, the edge defender on the line of scrimmage, he crashes down. Someone's got to replace him on the edge. So no one now has outside contain, and as Sailors bounce out, that is far too easy right there. Darius Phillips, he doesn't stand his ground. The edge closed down, but you've got to credit Sailors because he's got the vision and that jump cut to get out to the right side and just saunter into the end zone.
And St. Louis has gone for 2 on their other touchdowns. They'll go for 1 and try to make it 24-3 on a drive that took up a ton of clock out of halftime. And Wilkins was looking screen, and it's knocked down. As Jacob Sailor said, the trash talk is alive, and maybe in his direction after 3 touchdowns. He loved it. Yeah. And Joel, maybe we can pull you back in after this, after the break. Maybe some filming going on from the stands.
I want no part of it. I want no part of that. Send that to no coaches anywhere in the country.
Good thing we're going to break. A drive out of halftime that took almost half the quarter. It ended just like 2 drives in the first half did. A Jacob Saylor's touchdown after 12 plays, 70 yards. And the Battlehawks lead it by 20 in a rematch of last year's XFL Conference Championship game. Heard Jacob Saylor's say with the great access that we have here in the UFL on the mics, he said, we are a different team this year. And they're proving it after losing to San Antonio in the playoffs last year. Kirkland makes a move around the 30, and the best return of the day for San Antonio brings them to the 47. Here is Devin with the touchdown score, Jacob Saylor's.
Now, Jacob, Joel has talked about it ad nauseum. You are putting on a clinic with you accompanied with the offensive line on patience and physicality. Talk about that last play on how you got inside and then got to the end zone.
Yeah, it's no secret. Physicality is kind of the mindset of this offense, of this offensive line, this whole team. But pretty much on that run, it's a simple power play. Kind of go hand in hand with that physicality. We're going to bet on ourselves 10 out of 10 times. So right here, just reading my pulling guard right here, I'm sticking it in the A-gap. I just see them do a phenomenal job just washing everybody. Again, going back to that physicality, pushing that whole, look how that whole right side of the line just collapses down. There's so much green grass there. I'm going to take it every time my O-line gives it to me. I'm going to take it.
Great job.
Appreciate you.
Well, from one running back to another after Saylor's touchdown, McFarland with a burst for San Antonio.
You know, Saylor's led the UFL in total touchdowns last year with 8. He's already got 4 on this season with his 3 touchdowns today. So well on his way to an all UFL year just here through a couple of weeks. On the opposite side, man, San Antonio has got to get something going. And if you're going to get something going, John Lovett is inactive at running back. Their other running back, Anthony McFarland, number 41, got to touch the football. He did on that first play, and a nice gain.
We got 20 plus on that first play, and Mon whips it out for a completion of 6 yards to Greg Ward.
What is difficult right now, and we've touched on it with Devin, is the crowd noise and the fact that they don't have any run game to speak of, so you can't play action pass. This is all drop back pass. And there's, so you hear silent one cadence. What does that mean? It means the left guard is going to reach out his hand to let the center know that he is ready to snap the football, but they're timing up that rush perfectly for that.
And McFarland into the front of St. Louis. Here comes 3rd down thanks to Travis Feeney. Got him for no gain.
That front has played well.
Feeney pointing to his stomach as he goes off on this 3rd down for St. Louis.
Now they're going to try a silent double cadence. So the guard's going to reach out one time, try to draw him offside. Then he's going to reach out a second time. See, there's one. Now he looks back again. Now he reaches out again, and here we go.
Edge pressure on both sides, and it forced Mon to get it away. Incomplete. Nate Maydor's in the face of Mond. So was Wells.
Look, you're going to get pressure from all over right here, and they just do not have enough blockers in front. So Mond knows he's got to throw hot. That ball's got to come out, but they do a great job of sinking the linebacker, Mike Rose, number 26, right into, or excuse me, Carson Wells, right into the lap of McFarland, the running back.
So Wade Phillips keeps the offense on the field for San Antonio on 4th down. Mader's shown some pressure again. They pick it up this time, and a back shoulder throw is complete, and Kirkland still on his feet, ranging for the goal line. He's down at the half-yard line. Ball came free. They mark him down at the half-yard line.
Well, there's only 2 possible results. He's either down just short, or he gets to the goal line before he was down. There's Carson Wells, who comes in for the tackle, and there's that knee down just short of the goal line. Man, great hustle from Kirkland. Great hustle from Kirkland, getting it down. They need this touchdown badly, and he's reaching for it just short as that right knee touched the turf.
Kept the drive alive and puts them right on the doorstep of their first touchdown. And Corbin pushes ahead, and he is in there for San Antonio.
What a series. They needed that like they needed their next breath of air. They hadn't done anything really all year, you know, and this offense finally came to life. It starts with McFarland on that first run of the series. Then all of a sudden, Mond, he gets loose a little bit, finds a couple of completions, and then they found Jontre Kirkland. See, again, their two best players, the most dynamic players, are McFarland and Kirkland. Those are the guys who have to touch the ball the entire second half here. If they want to eliminate this deficit, come back in this game, those two guys have to be the featured guys.
San Antonio going for two. And Kirkland, who just set up the touchdown, is bottom side. And Mond on a quarterback draw is stopped short. Callahan O'Reilly makes the stick to keep him out of the conversion. It was Kirkland on a 4th and 4. Got the 4 and then 20 more. And Corbin pushes San Antonio in for the first time. Week 3 of the 2025 UFL season kicks off with Fox UFL Friday as Luis Perez and Arlington take on reigning champs Birmingham in the Stallions home opener at 8 p.m. Eastern. Then on Saturday, Houston and Memphis square off on ESPN. With Joel Klatt, Connor Onion, Devin Gardner is down on the field. Jontre Kirkland had the 4th down conversion that set up Jay Sean Corbin for the first touchdown of the day for San Antonio. So back-to-back touchdowns to start the second half. St. Louis gets it back, and a good return of their own out to the 35. And here's Devin.
Last 2 weeks have been frustrating, obviously, but when they need to play to be made, they get it to you. Talk about the return and then the big 4th down conversion.
I needed to make a play. Dropped too many balls in the first half. Got to come out and make plays for the team. I got to be the leader. I got to step up. I got to do my thing.
What's the most important thing to make sure you guys get back in this game and eventually win it?
Make plays. On the outside, get the running game going. Special teams, all phases. Defense go out and make a stop. We go down and make points. We end this game. It's not out.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yes, sir.
The leader in targets in the UFL, co-leader in catches, and second in yards. With one of the big plays of the day for San Antonio. And now can their defense come up with a stop? Flying around to get Pearson on that first play of this drive.
Well, they held contained there. Certainly, they're going to have to stop what is the hottest offense in the UFL. St. Louis has scored points on their last 4 drives, and they have scored touchdowns on their last 3 drives. You know, you go back to the entirety of the year, 7 touchdowns on their 14 drives so far this year, only 1 punt. So Anthony Beck's team is rolling, and this San Antonio team has got to figure it out. And I think it starts with pressure on a down like this. 2nd and 12, you got to find some way to impact the quarterback.
Run play to Howard, and he meets a healthy Tavante Beckett, who was injured on that last drive. Back in there setting up 3rd down.
You know, I think back to a year ago, and Connor, Wyatt Ray, Delonte Scott for San Antonio, they were the 1st and 2nd guy when it came to sacks. And they don't have those guys anymore. So now the question is, like, who's going to get pressure? It's 3rd and 8. You have to get a stop. Who's getting pressure?
And Kobe Jones had their 1 sack earlier, and a flag comes out. It's on St. Louis.
False start, offense, number 11, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Trips left, 2-jet, Bones, Destin. Trips left, 2-jet, Bones, Destin. Trips left, 2-jet, Bones, Destin.
Trips left, 2-jet, Bones, Destin, dummy. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yes. Set. We're 19. We're 9. Heck, heck. We're live, we're live, we're live. Hey, go steal one, Black. Turbo, set.
St. Louis has not been stopped since their first drive of the day. And Wilkins at the feet of Sailors. And it's 4th and 13.
Tell you what, San Antonio changed up the defense there. They only rushed 3 and they sat 5 guys in the middle of the field. Remember that long conversion on the last series? Wade Phillips remembers it. They had that long inside route from the outside, and so they changed it up, and the Brahmas sat all their defensive players right inside of the numbers. 5 of those guys sitting there waiting for those in-breaking routes, and Manny Wilkins had nowhere to go with the ball.
So second time on the season that former Syracuse Orange punter Sterling Hoffrichter comes out to punt it away. Game started with 3 straight punts, and San Antonio finally gets their stop, and they'll get it back, trying to march down and score on back-to-back drives. Kellen Mond to the field when you come back. Well, St. Louis had 40,000 fans at their home opener last year, a UFL record. Another strong showing today. It has been deafening inside the dome, as it has for all the games in the Battlehawks franchise history. Trying to pay one back to San Antonio after losing in the conference championship game to these guys last year. And Mond on the march, and that ball's juggled. Was it picked off? Was that kept off the turf? It was. Brandon Sebastian with a juggling interception. They're trying to go to Jacob Harris, and they had a lot of success with Jacob Harris outside of the numbers in week 1. And there's a bit of hand fighting there. And did that ball stay up? Oh, it absolutely did. What a pick for Sebastian. It just sat on his left shoulder as he hit the ground. Watch this right here. The ball is sliding around his body, and he's able to pick it off. That's incredible stuff, and really unlucky for Kellen Mond. The first turnover of the game sets up St. Louis and Manny Wilkins in plus territory. He escapes, and he slides. Man, everything going the Battlehawks' way. How about that bounce for Brandon Sebastian? You know, last week this team had a couple of interceptions. They also stopped Houston twice on 4th down. Now they get this turnover, so it's not just the offense and the offensive line in the run game. This defense has been excellent so far this young season, and this turnover is setting their offense up for a bit of a kill shot here deep in their own territory. A potential chance for San Antonio on that drive to score for the 3rd straight time they touched it. And set a pick, and that's knocked away. Good coverage from Chris Steele. He was right with Gary Jennings. Yeah, and if Becht wants to super challenge this, he would get this challenge. There's no doubt that this is a pass interference. See that pull right there? He just pulls him away from the catch spot. So a miss right there. That one should have been called. Steele got away with that contact, but more importantly, he's just pulling Gary Jennings away from an opportunity to make a play on the ball. Maybe Kellen Mond will make a quick trip to the bench after the bounce went Sebastian's way.
Yeah, I mean,
challenging a DPI, do they have a number from upstairs?
He's grabbing DBs, grabbing them all over the place. Not looking back for the football.
Okay. All right, I'm watching this. I've got a grab on the right, the collar. And then as he's going to the ground, it does look like he pulls him. Do we have anything else? Yeah, I've got this look. I've got a grab with the right hand, and he's pulling him. I see the receiver getting pulled before the ball arrives. So we're going to go pass interference here.
Dean, are you with us still?
Yes. We're going to get you a spot. We do have pass interference. Number 22 is the foul.
snapped at the 32.
After the 32, I'm going to give you a spot. Spot of the foul is the 16.
16-yard line, number 22.
Number 22, correct.
Thank you. Yep. After review, pass interference, defense number 22. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Correction, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That was part one of Wade Phillips' reaction.
St. Louis retains its timeout but is unable to challenge for the remainder of the game.
And you know, that's an interesting rule change this year, is that they got that second super challenge. So because Coach Beck was successful on his first super challenge, he was able to retain it for a second time, and then you get that second one, and now St. Louis is out. But that's Anthony Beck does this really well. I mean, he only uses it when he really knows, and it gives him a huge advantage, which this one did. Now 1st and 10 inside the 20.
That would have been looking at a third down instead. 1st and 10. And Wilkins back on the move. On the pole, he's close to another first down.
I tell you, it's something that goes overlooked from a quarterback perspective is just the ability to have ball handling, you know, and when you can read that defensive end and really force that defensive end inside and then get out there and use your legs. What an excellent job by Manny Wilkins. It is all Battlehawks right now. St. Louis opening up really well at home.
Let's go! Good job!
Well, we know it's loud in here. Sometimes you use your friend as a thunder stick.
Whoa! What is happening right now? Was that a slap challenge right in the stands? Holy cow.
I think that's already on the internet.
Wow.
Oh, St. Louis 1st and goal to start the 4th quarter. And Howard is wrangled down to the backfield.
I mean, the meme writes itself. So you say, like, when you get in a slap challenge and your opponent uses his left hand, you know, and then that's the reaction. He's like, yeah!
It sounded,
yeah, that was the, yeah, he's looking for it on the internet right now. He's like, is it up yet? Did Twitter get it yet? Or X, whatever they call it? I don't see it, buddy. I don't see it yet. Have you refreshed?
What's amazing, his face isn't even red. He's not even showing the wear from that. Wilkins keeps himself again. And a flag out behind the run as he's down at the 3.
I think whatever redness on that face was coming in from the Busch Light.
Holding offense number 75, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
It's about the only thing that we can say negative about this offensive line is that they've had a couple of penalties today. You know, what do you got here? You got left tackle, Jared Jones-Smith. Just kind of wraps him up a little bit as they're trying to get outside. Rashad Berry, number 43, draws the hold.
And 5 penalties for St. Louis, all on the offense. So it backs him up to the 19 on 2nd and goal.
319!
More motion. Pearson the eye candy. And San Antonio ready for Sailors.
No, 10!
Double right.
Hey, empty left. 50 story. Why special? I want empty left. Hang on. Story. Switch. Set. 50. 319. Reset.
3rd and goal. Over the middle, caught by the tight end Sutherland. He's down shy of the 5.
Did he just give a first down signal?
He thought he had it. He does not.
Goodness gracious. Now that's going to wind up on the internet. Jake Sutherland. Meanwhile, the rest of the offense is like, hey, Jake, come on over here for a slap challenge.
The internet's off to a hot start the first 2 minutes of this 4th quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Field goal would still keep it a 2-possession game. It is good because you can score 9 on a drive with a 3-point try. San Antonio's still 2 possessions away. There is a flag down.
Guys, we got roughing the kicker, and we're going to go to the 2-yard line for an automatic first down. Right?
So Sutherland saw the future.
We're going to go to the 2.
Wow.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker, defense. The penalty will replace the ball at the 2-yard line with an automatic first down.
Well, Jake Sutherland, you get your wish. Here is the snap. Don't see the contact. Good kick. Rodrigo Blankenship gets contacted. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Bo Pete Keys, number 3, came in, took out his legs.
Hey, dance to Trey Wright. 14 zap. That's back on 1.
And another near stop for San Antonio gets wiped off on a penalty.
I mean, they had the 2 third-down penalties on a previous series today. Just some crushing penalties from San Antonio's defense today. Crushing.
Wilkins and St. Louis trying to make it hurt some more. Out to the edge, and they smother him. Toby and Ndukwe kept.
Well, you do not want to leave your feet if you're Manny Wilkins. I mean, this is, you can't do this as a quarterback. You know, I mean, that, and you can see he almost hyperextends his right leg as he's trying to jump. And got to protect yourself to some degree, in particular with how well he's playing. He's 11 of 13, 148, 8 rushes for 60 yards. Got to protect yourself a little bit.
Fake to Sailors on the move. Nobody open, and he throws it away with pressure right there from Corey Mayfield. Another meeting of those two after they got in a little skirmish earlier.
And this one ended a little bit more cordially after they got up off of the turf.
Across the line of scrimmage. It's 3rd down.
Manny Wilkins last week didn't always slide. We saw him try to hurdle there. He put his shoulder pads down a couple of times. I'm sure Anthony Beck told him this week, protect yourself.
Set. Hey, back wide here, Jay Will. Green 19. Listen.
Wilkins underneath and knocked out of there. Looking for Pearson. And William Hooper brings up another 4th down and goal.
Yeah, a really nice job by Hooper, because watch, they're going to try to give that little snag route from Pearson. So he's going to come inside, and then he's trying to break on the outside. And William Hooper does a great job of staying with that route, and then he goes over the top of the wide receiver, gets that left arm around, but doesn't hook him, and then bats the ball away. That is just textbook defense right there from Hooper.
So after the roughing the kicker, Blankenship finds himself out there again from shorter range. This time from 22. And after all that, Blankenship hits the field goal. Sutherland was right after all. He set up a 4th down and goal, said first down. That's a meme. The slapstick is a meme. We are on fire in the 4th quarter from St. Louis. Unbelievable access that we get in the UFL. Alize Mack, tight end for San Antonio, wearing a camera for us today. And we got ref cam, we've got drones flying around. Joel, this is really, really cool stuff we get access to every week.
Well, we all love this sport, right? I mean, that's why we're here. And to get this level of access, to hear the play calls, to see the camera angles, to see the drone shots, and be closer to the game that we love than ever before. You know, at home, you know, you want access and discovery. Well, we give you that. We've got shoulder pad cams and cameras. We've got everything that you need and could possibly want to get access to the game that you love and discovery of things that you don't even know yet.
And seeing it up close and personal and hearing it, like you mentioned with the audio too. McFarland had the big return earlier and out across the 30. Set up San Antonio, still chasing just 2 possessions here.
Well, that's the biggest part, right? If you're in the UFL, this seems like it's been all one-sided, but 17 is a 2-possession game. So this San Antonio offense, which, by the way, did have a positive series at the end of the first half. They did have a positive series in the third quarter. Build on that. Kellen Mond is 11 of 22 for 123 in that 1 pick, which he's just got to block out because that was just a funky bounce to Brandon Sebastian on the outside. But in a 2-possession game, just 1 play at a time. Comebacks are like puzzles, 1 piece at a time.
The first part of the puzzle is a Corbin run for 8 yards.
I think getting the run game going is smart, in particular early in these series, and it keeps the pass rush at bay from St. Louis. And I do believe that the 2 players that will have to have a big part in this will be McFarland and Kirkland if they want to come back.
It's back-to-back runs to start this drive, and Corbin is short. Came down in a pile with Carson Wells at the head of that herd for the Battlehawks.
All right, so this run game, which actually hasn't been bad tonight for San Antonio. They've run it for over 6 yards per carry, just around 6 yards per carry, just under 5.7. And now it looks like a little tush-push coming up.
And let's see where they spot Mond. Looks like he's got it. He does. First down.
If you could find a way to get the ball in space to Anthony McFarland or Jontre Kirkland.
Red flip on a silent 1. Ready? Red flip red.
And Kirkland had the 4th down plays at 3 catches, 37 yards. McFarland kick-started them earlier in this game and last week. Mond back to the air, looking for Harris, his top receiver today. And the guy that just picked him off, Brandon Sebastian, with another play in the air.
Yeah, and Sebastian has been really good against Jacob Harris. They went to that one-on-one on the sideline quite a bit last week in week 1. 4 catches for 63 yards for Jacob Harris. You can see Sebastian is just all over him. A lot of hand fighting going on. Mond trying to get that back shoulder, but he's got to decide whether he goes back shoulder to the sideline or throw it down the field. That one seemed to be just in the middle.
Well, San Antonio used their super challenge and lost it in the first half, so they can't take another look. Evades pressure, Mond pointing, and takes off himself and stays in bounds long enough for a chain mover.
That's what they expected to see more of with Kellen Mond. I started the game with that, is Mond being a threat with his legs.
Here we go.
He's able to scamper for a first down.
Hey, Boston stare on a silent 1. Ready? Pirate! Pirate! Pirate!
Here's McFarland zigzagging, weaving his way for a first down. San Antonio starting to march.
Yeah, there's my guy. I'm telling you, get the ball to McFarland or Kirkland.
On the jog, on the jog, on the jog. Get them lined up and go. Go, they got 1 less. Celtics.
A.J. Smith talking about the numbers. Got McFarland for another good game.
Trips right, Denver. If there's grass, pull it. Trips right, Denver. Hey, right here. Hey, trips right, Denver on a silent Jeter. Ready? Jeter.
It looks like he's going to be reading the defensive end. He said if there's green grass, pull it.
Mond gives, and it is stuffed. Travis Feeney got him for no gain.
Here we go. Y'all ready for this? We got 2 downs to get this. Give me trips left sharp, Z crack.
Here we go. Hey, trips left sharp, Z crack on a silent 1. Ready?
So Mond knows he's got 2 downs here. He doesn't have to force it. Okay, so A.J. Smith let him know they're going for it on 4th down if they can't get this.
He flares it out. Corbin dancing out of the first tackle, but not the second. Cameron Kelly lays the wood, and one more play to get it for San Antonio.
Well, this is borderline the game right here in a 2-possession game. They're not going to get the ball back probably twice if St. Louis can do anything with the football when they get it back.
They converted on their last touchdown drive. A run play for Corbin, and he's not going to get there. Austin Falu and Mike Rose get the ball back to the Battlehawks. Streams of cacaw around the dome after a 4th down stop. St. Louis on the verge of a 2-0 start behind Anthony Becht, whose offense will be back on the field next. A 4th down stop for the St. Louis defense on Corbin. This is the reaction from their head coach, Anthony Becht.
No! Max.
And Max means it's Max Duggan time at quarterback for the Battlehawks.
Well, man, what a magical year he had at TCU just a couple of years ago. Finished 2nd in the Heisman Trophy to Caleb Williams. And a guy that is as good of a competitor as I've covered in a long time. And it certainly was a pleasure covering Max that year. Love to see him in the game here.
So he's in behind Manny Wilkins. What a great couple of weeks that Wilkins has had at quarterback for the Battlehawks.
Man, he has been so efficient. And, you know, I started this, remember, Connor, I said in the open that what they wanted from him is efficiency in the passing game and then effectiveness in the run game and being a threat with his legs. That's exactly what he was. He was 12 of 16 for 162 through the air, and then he caps it off with 9 carries for 58 on the ground. At this point, he's their leading rusher.
Duggan can do a little bit of that too. He's handing off. And here comes 3rd down on the first carry of the day for Kevon Latulis.
You know, I do think that St. Louis is being a little bit. So San Antonio is going to call a timeout. Again, this is a 2-possession game here. So, you know, it looks like, oh, let's put in, you know, Max Duggan, and San Antonio can absolutely get this ball back. And if they can get this ball back in somewhere in that, you know, 3 minutes 40 seconds range, now they get something going. Because again, their whole goal will be to just get to a possession where they would have like the 4th and 12 option with a chance to either win or tie. That's their whole goal. And St. Louis's whole goal at this point, up 26-9, is to avoid a situation where San Antonio has a possession where they could tie or win.
And with the point after try rules in the UFL, that would mean for San Antonio 2 touchdowns and then either a 2-point and a 3-point or 2 3-pointers, which would put them in the lead and potentially win the game. First, they need a 3rd down stop after burning their first time out of the half. 5 wide as Duggan empties it out and bobbles the snap and throws it into the turf. So that stops the clock with 4:12 to go.
Do we get some extracurricular there?
And there is a flag. Yep.
61 pushed him as well, though.
Okay, so
we ain't gonna go with who pushed him the hardest. Wave off or off. Because 61 did push him first before the other man came
back. Want to just go an offset? Or?
That guy at least go offset.
Okay, and those are personal fouls. Okay. There is no foul on the play. The contact was ruled legal. Both players pushed one another.
We're good, fellas.
Who said two wrongs can't make a right, Connor? I thought it was the guy that retaliated that always got the flag drawn. That's exactly right. You can kind of see in the middle of your screen they're just kind of shoving, and there's a shove, and then there's a shove, and then a bit of a flop. So you've got a LeBron James going on down, and then the flag comes out. Maybe they should just call the penalty on the flop by Panishuk.
Come on, Chris.
They called a timeout? Okay. They got a timeout. They called a time. Hey.
So San Antonio had to burn their second timeout. Chasing 2 scores, that could be huge as they try to come back. But Manny Wilkins, a big reason, Joel, why St. Louis has this lead. Yeah, I was just touching on it. The efficiency in the passing game, effectiveness in the run game. He came up with a couple of really crucial throws down the field. The long one down the field to Gary Jennings Jr. for 58 yards. A couple of nice third down throws, and then using his legs and extending drives, getting to the chains. But it was even more than that. I thought it was just his entire command and leadership of the offense and of the team. And that's something that Anthony Beck was really hoping for, and he's getting out of Wilkins here in this young season. Wilkins, the backup to A.J. McCarron the past couple of years, and gets his chance to be the guy in St. Louis in 2025 and closing in on a 2-0 start. And San Antonio had to get organized on special teams, so using their second timeout with the clock stopped, but getting the ball back. A big kickoff return set up their last score, but this is going nowhere. Flag comes out after the big hit as Frank Darby went down.
Okay, so we go blind side. That's a blind side. I saw it. Yeah. Okay, so do we have a dead ball spot? We have a ball down. Okay. It's 47, yep. 47, Brian. Okay. There is no foul on the play. The contact has been ruled legal. It's first down.
We're talking about maybe a penalty on Lonnie Phelps, but never mind. Does San Antonio have one last push after Matthew Sexton was greeted by Frank Darby and wrestled down? Brahmas ball coming up. Oh, never mind. Coming up right now. Play blown dead.
Snap, we're in a TV production break. Timeout on the field.
that is the TV version of Jake Sutherland saying first down. Or a slap test.
Too deep in the game, I'm keeping my foot in it. Hating on me, but it made me go harder. Ran up a few wins, my bank account trim. I promise you, he ain't richer than my daughter. Life was closing in, face to face with seeing all my demons. Got him in order. Read what I'm seeing, read what he did. Dread from his kids, life got shorter.
Say it to my face, or the theme of the day, slap my face in St. Louis. It's been a entertaining week, too, in the UFL. St. Louis fans have packed the dome again, and Kellen Mond trying to quiet them with a 2-score deficit. And this first down play won't get started.
Still first down.
You know, for those at home wondering like why San Antonio called a timeout after that incomplete pass on third down from St. Louis, the UFL rules are that the clock runs you know, at the 30 of the play clock until the 2-minute warning. So that timeout did save San Antonio time. In fact, about 30 seconds for Wade Phillips, and they needed to take that. So now there's 4:04, down 2 possessions, 1 timeout.
Backed up after the penalty. It's incomplete. Harris started to curl and run before he secured it.
Hey, blue check, 6 Hank on 1, right? Silent 1. 6 Hank. Jay. Hey, check. Yeah.
On to the opposite side, complete to Kirkland, who tumbles out. And here comes a 3rd down.
Well, these 2 possession settings, you got to kind of set a benchmark for this series of like, okay, we really need to score by about the minute 50 mark, you know, 2-minute warning, whatever it is.
3rd and 9 over the middle, incomplete, and a must-have 4th down.
All right, here we go. Blue check, 7 Hank. Blue check, 7 Hank. Blue check, 7 Hank.
Hey, blue check on a silent Jeter. Ready?
Pointing, moving, laundry everywhere.
Yeah. What's the number? Just give me a number.
Point
False
towards
start.
San Antonio.
Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Blue check, B Indiana, X Uno. And it's almost like an X grab.
It's been the killer for the Brahmas. Penalties back-to-back weeks. Several of those on 3rd down on defense.
Just give me the reset. I never wound. Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes, 44 seconds. The clock will start on the snap.
Here we go. Hey, on the ball. Hey, blue check. Silent 1.
Only thing he's got to do is give himself a chance. Can't take a sack here, so this ball's got to leave his hand, regardless of pressure.
Here comes that pressure, stunting up front, and they get home. Delmo Peinu, just like last week, sealing a game late for St. Louis with a sack.
This defense didn't want to be outdone. And Delmo Peinu, he was excellent last week, 2 sacks, and then finally gets home, and what a rush he put on there. Zuri Henry, number 68, the right tackle, just could not corral him as the speed rush got past him and to the quarterback, Kellen Mond.
The former Utah Ute with the 4th sack of the day for St. Louis. And leading by 2 scores, and Max Duggan back out at quarterback. It's Latulis doing his best to stay inbounds close to a 1st down, but this Battlehawks defense has anchored them. Almost a shutout last week and holding San Antonio under 9 this week.
You know, there's a lot of reasons why I think St. Louis has been the best team in the league. And clearly, offensively, it's easy to explain, right? The O-line has been great. Their quarterback play has been good. They've got weapons. They don't even have Akeem Butler back. But really, What I think makes them so dangerous is that this defense is so stingy. They've got length on the outside, probably the best safety group in the UFL. Their front seven gets after the quarterback on the edge. We've seen that now in back-to-back weeks. And to cap that all off, their linebackers, I think, are the best in the league as well, with Mike Rose and Willie Harvey. So this St. Louis team, they are for real. I will be shocked if they're not in it till the end here in the UFL.
They hit the 2-minute warning. Closing in on 2-0. The entire unit of the offensive line was the UFL Offensive Players of the Week when the Battlehawks went for 273 on the ground a week ago. Not quite that this week, but 3 rushing touchdowns from Jacob Sailors ties a UFL record for a single game. And 152 up on the board with a 17-point lead. Latula stays in as the back. And the former Missouri State Bear, just down the road from Springfield, where he played in college, brings up a 3rd down. And final timeout for San Antonio.
Well, we've talked a lot about the offense, and rightly so. But this defense has been excellent. And I just referenced it a couple of minutes ago. The front seven is built so stout. They've gotten bigger and more stout on the interior of their defensive line. They've got quality edge rushers. Their linebackers are hybrid. They get after the football. They tackle well. And then they've got length in the secondary now. You know, you look at the secondary for St. Louis, you've got Miles Jones is 6'3". Brandon Sebastian, he's 6 foot. Chris Payton-Jones, he's 6 foot. Nick Whiteside, he's 6'1". The safety group is excellent. They've got length. They're physical. Again, the linebackers, probably the best tandem in the league. You know, they've got a good chance to be the best defense in the UFL, and so far, Jacob Sailors on the offensive side probably been the best player in the league, over 200 total yards and 4 TDs through a couple of games.
Duggan calls his own number, and the former Heisman Trophy finalist with a 1st down.
Man, it's like going back in time, watching the former Horned Frog get after it. Again, one of the best competitors the college game has seen in a long time. Led them all the way to the national championship game before running into that buzzsaw that was the Georgia Bulldogs. But this is what he does best. Just getting after it, running the football. You can see the toughness, man. There's no way he's sliding. He wants all of the contact.
And Max Duggan in every quarterback's favorite formation. Kneel down time. Do you think St. Louis best team in its entirety? We talked about offense, defense, best team in its entirety in the UFL first 2 weeks?
That I've seen so far. I've seen several of them. I was pretty impressed with Arlington, with their performance over San Antonio, but with now back-to-back weeks of really complete performances, Connor. That's what's so impressive to me. They're getting quality quarterback play. They're good up front. You know, they got playmakers. And now San Antonio is going to have to go back to the drawing board at 0-2, knowing that they faced a couple of really quality teams. But this one certainly, with their home field advantage, I think St. Louis is probably the best team in the league right now.
It'll be a 2-0 versus 2-0 matchup next week for St. Louis. They get the DC Defenders, who are off to a good start as well.
Here we go. Let's go. We're good. Hey, let's go. Hey, victory on Turbo. Victory on Turbo. Ready? Right here.
One more snap for the road for Duggan and the offense for St. Louis. And after losing in the conference championship game to San Antonio last year, St. Louis gets a little revenge on their home field and win it 26-9.
Coach, good luck this year, man.
Battlehawks to 2-0, Brahmas to 0-2. We will wrap things for the Dome in St. Louis right after this. Well, hard to pick against the 3-time Spring League champions, the reigning champs of this league, the UFL, the Birmingham Stallions. These are the updated odds after
last week's game, St. Louis moved up to the second best odds behind Birmingham, and I would bet those odds get even better for the Battlehawks after a 2-0 start. Here's Devin.
Manny, I watched you all season last year support unwaveringly AJ up and down the sidelines, but you can tell that you were just waiting for your opportunity. How good does it feel to have the rest of the team behind you, offense, defense, the offensive line, the running game, and for you to have such success these first 2 weeks?
Honestly, it's a blessing to go out there with a group of guys who we put this work in, we put our head down, we work. It's a blessing to know that these guys are coming out here and just supporting. You know, they're just on my back. They're telling me, good, let's do this, let's do that, and it's a good family effort.
Have you ever played for a nasty offensive line?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like all my offensive lines have been nasty. This group, though, is very close-knit. Man, it's something special to see those guys go out there and just how they are together and how sound they are. You know, there's some things that we got to clean up, obviously, but it's fun to go out there with a group of guys who really love it.
Mike Ponishuk should be signing autographs after the way the offensive line has played the first 2 weeks. That was Devin Gardner. For Joel Klatt, I'm Connor Onion. A fun Sunday in week 2 in the UFL. St. Louis starts 2-0. Hope you had as much fun as that guy.